Hello and welcome everyone to the In Focus series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya, and in today's interesting and intriguing episode of In Focus, we are going to try to find an answer to a very important question, that whether income inequality in India is actually decreasing or not. The title of our today's discussion is Analyzing the Rising Gaps in Incomes. In this discussion, we'll firstly study about what is the periodic labor force survey. Then we are also going to study about the Gini coefficient. We are also going to analyze the polarization of incomes. We are also going to see a conclusion to the recent study that has been conducted. And lastly, we'll see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. So if I talk about the background of our today's topic, a recent study has been conducted by SBI, and this report has been submitted by SBI, which highlights the fact that there has been a decrease in income inequality in India in the last 10 years. So basically, it is taking the data of the PLFS or the Periodic Labor Force Survey into account from the year 2017 to 2018 to 2022 to 2023. And this has also highlighted that the Gini coefficient has also fallen to 15%. It was 0.472 in the year 2014 to 15, and now it has dropped to 0.402 in the year 22 to 23. So basically, it is saying that the Gini coefficient has fallen around 15% and the income inequality in India has decreased in the last 10 years. So we will be trying to find an answer to the question that how reliable is this study? Is this study portraying a true picture of inequality of income in India or not? Let us firstly begin our discussion by understanding what is this periodic labor force survey, because the data of this survey has been analyzed and considered by this study conducted by the State Bank of India. So if I talk about the periodic labor force survey, so periodic labor force survey is a comprehensive employment and unemployment survey conducted by the Government of India, and it is implemented by the NSO or the National Statistical Organization, and it is implemented by MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So basically, NSO is responsible for conducting this PLFS, and it was introduced in the year 2017. So if you'll ask me about the aim of conducting this PLFS or the Periodic Labor Force Survey, it aims to provide valuable insights into the labor market dynamics of the country. Moving forward, it collects data on various aspects of employment, including participation rates, employment status, wages and working conditions, among others. And it plays a crucial role in informing policy makers, researchers and analysts about the changing patterns of labor force participation and unemployment in India. Basically, the Government of India conducts this PLFS to analyze the labor market dynamics in India, to realize the unemployment rate in India, because they want to shift their policy making. They want to analyze how many of our youth population is actually unemployed in India, and they will then try to generate employment for them, because as of now, India has an employable young labor force, and if the unemployment is rising, definitely it is a cause of worry for the Government of India, and that is why this survey is conducted, to highlight the labor market dynamics in India, to find out the workers' participation rate and etc., to increase the employment opportunity in India, to focus the policy making to generation of employment opportunities if it is found out that unemployment is rising in the country. Now let us understand and move forward to talk about and discuss what is this Gini coefficient, because the study has also highlighted that Gini coefficient has fallen down more than 15%, and this also shows that inequality of income in India has decreased since last 10 years. So the Gini coefficient, also known as the Gini index or Gini ratio, is a widely used measure of income inequality within a population. So this is a very common term that we use in the study of economics. And it is named after the Italian statistician Corrado Gini. This index quantifies the extent to which income or wealth is distributed unevenly among the individuals or households in a country or region. So kindly understand this Gini coefficient in a better way and try to remember it, because most of the questions have come in your exams from the concept of Lorentz curve and Gini coefficient in your preliminary examination, past year preliminary examination. So this fact is very important for you. Moving forward, the formula for calculating the Gini coefficient involves plotting a Lorentz curve, which is a graphical representation of income or wealth distribution, and the Gini coefficient is derived from the area between the Lorentz curve and the line of perfect equality. A higher Gini coefficient indicates greater income or wealth inequality. So I hope you have understood it, but let us try to understand it better by a pictorial representation of this Gini coefficient, because definitely this topic is very important from the point of view of your preliminary examination. So this is a pictorial representation of the Gini coefficient. As you can see, that perfect distribution line, sometimes also known as the 45-degree line. This is the line of perfect equality, and this is the Lorentz curve, and this area is known as the Gini coefficient or the Gini index. So basically it ranges from 0 to 1. 0 means perfect inequality and 1 means perfect equality. So basically it is a formula by deriving and plotting the Lorentz curve, okay, and this is the Gini index, this area in between the 45-degree line and the Lorentz curve, and it is the Gini coefficient. Now let us analyze the Gini coefficient that has been considered in the study that has been conducted by the State Bank of India. So this is the Gini coefficients for the year 2017 and 18 and for the year 2022 to 2023. And if you will analyze this Gini coefficient table, you will be able to figure out and find out that yes, the inequality has decreased, like for the regular wage workers and the casual wage workers, but it has increased for the acquired work people. For the self-employed work people, it has actually increased. The inequality variance has increased. Even the fall in the Gini coefficient, in the last 10 years for the regular wage workers and the casual wage workers is also very limited in nature. So it has definitely fallen. It shows that yes, inequality has reduced, but it has not taken in consideration various factors such as the self-employed workers. Moving forward, let us discuss the polarization of income concept, which is not taken into account by the study conducted by the State Bank of India, and that is why I asked you and said that yes, we are going to study and discuss that whether this study is actually portraying a true picture of income inequality in India or not. So there is a concept known as polarization of income, which has not been taken into account by this study. So the Gini coefficient is an aggregate measure which delivers an estimate of inequality considering all incomes in a given sample. But if you talk about the sample size of this study, it only consists of the taxpayers. And as per the PLFS report of 2022 to 2023, 80% of the population in India is below the income tax slab bracket. So the sample size is not correct, and that is why there is inaccurate description of the following of the Gini coefficient, because it is only an average measure of inequality. Okay, and it is possible for the Gini coefficient to register a fall in inequality even with a divergence between different classes of income earners. And this study has only taken into the sample size of taxpayers. and most of the people in India unfortunately are outside of the tax bracket, and the self-employed people do not pay taxes. They do not account their self-employed income, and that is why it follows a very small sample size of only those people who are earning. Okay. Now, this figure actually portrays the polarization of income in the Indian economy. Okay. So, the average income earning people within the period of 2017 to 18 and 2022 to 2023 have been divided and placed as decile. Okay. So, and their average weekly income is considered, and the rate of growth of average weekly income of each decile over a 5-year period is being depicted by this chart. And this chart is actually trying to portray the polarization of income in the Indian economy. So now let us decode the findings of this chart. So the most important finding of this chart is that most deciles enjoy a similar rate of growth of income. Okay, and the 4th to the 9th deciles, which comprise around 60% of the income earning population, experience an annual rate of growth of roughly 8 to 9% in average incomes. So see, from 4th decile to 9th decile, you will see that yes, there is an average increase of weekly income or average increase of income. So this is being portrayed by the figure. Moving forward, the top decile's average income grew at an annual rate of around 7.23%, greater than the bottom 20% and similar to the third decile. So what can we conclude by this? What can we interpret by this? That the rich in India are getting richer and the poor in India are becoming poorer in nature. And this is clearly visible if you'll analyze this chart, which shows the polarization of income in India. See, the bottom 20%. The rate of growth is definitely very slow as compared to the 4th to the 9th decile. Moving forward, the polarization can be seen in a measure known as the 90:10 ratio, which computes the ratio of incomes of those at the 90th percentile or the top 10 to the 10th percentile and the bottom 10%. And definitely, if you'll analyze it, we'll be seeing a pictorial representation of the same in our further slide. And if you'll analyze it, you will also realize the sample size is very small. The study is definitely taking into only those people who are income generating and are taxpayers in nature. So definitely you will find the income divide, and you will analyze, and you will be able to figure out that the income divide between the top class has decreased, not as a whole. It has increased, in fact, between the top class and the bottom class. Okay. And there are changes in polarization among different forms of work as well. For example, as I have explained to you, that this study is not taking account those people who are self-employed, who employ other people for their self-employment, who are unpaid workers such as women in our households. So it is not taking into account all of these people. In fact, it is not taking into account the impact of inflation on average weekly income. So somewhere or the other, this is not showing the correct picture of income inequality in India. So now let us observe the 90:10 ratio for the year 2018 to 2022 to 2023. You will see that the regular wage workers and the casual wage workers, there is a very slight drop. Okay, but what about this self-employed category? That has not been considered. And if you analyze it as a whole, you will be able to figure out what I'm saying, that yes, the income inequality has decreased, but only in the top classes. In fact, it has increased in the top class to the bottom class. Moving forward, let us analyze the conclusion. What can we actually conclude by this study that has been conducted by the State Bank of India? Okay. So, as has been extensively documented, the rise in women's labor force participation has primarily come about through forms of low-paid part-time or self-employed work. But as I have explained to you, this self-employed work is not considered by the study. Okay. Households may be earning more and women may be working, but this increase in low paid self-employed work has led up an increase in the gap between the top and the bottom of self-employed incomes. So that is why I have said that this study has not portrayed a true picture of income inequality in India. It has definitely given us an empirical data to show, and definitely the income inequality has reduced in the last 10 years. But only among the top strata of people and not among the top strata and the bottom strata of people. Moving forward, this has increased polarization among income earners, even though gaps for wage work, both regular and casual, have fallen, and we have comprehensively analyzed this in our charts. Okay, the 90-10 chart also, as well as the chart which portrayed polarization of income in the Indian economy. Such polarization is not seen in taxpayer data, since the bottom 10% do not earn enough to be included in the tax net. So how can you say that this study has portrayed the true picture? Because it is only including the taxpayers, and the bottom 10% in India is not paying taxes because they earn lesser than the income tax slab bracket. And that is why this study is not that much correct. Yes, it is correct to an extent, but not that much correct. Moving forward, the pace of reduction of inequality amongst top earners is not reflected by changes amongst the entire population, and this is also a disadvantage of this study. Reduction in the Gini coefficient hides a process of divergence of incomes between the top classes and the bottom classes. Definitely, see, I am not disregarding this study. It has shown us that yes, we have actually achieved a inequality reduction in the top classes of people. But we need more quantifiable data. We need a larger sample size to exactly conclude that inequality has decreased in India. With this, we come to a conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen what is the PLFS, or the Periodic Labor Force Survey. We have understood the Gini coefficient. We have concluded and analyzed in detail the study conducted by the State Bank of India. So now let me know in the comment box below that what do you think, is income inequality has actually reduced in India or not, or do you also believe that the rich in India are getting richer while the poor in India are getting poorer in nature? Kindly let me know in the comment box below. Now let us analyze a practice question for a prelims examination. So the question is, consider the following statements. Your statement number 1 is, the Gini coefficient, which is derived from the Lorentz curve, can be used as an indicator of economic development in a country. Your statement number 2 is, the Gini coefficient measures the degree of income inequality in a population. Which of these statements given above is our correct? Your option A is 1 only, option B is 2 only, option C is both 1 and 2, and option D is none of the above. So kindly drop your answer in the comment box below. Now let us analyze a practice question for your mains examination. So the question is, inequality has risen in India since the 1980s. Comment. So you'll write that yes, inequality has risen in India since the 1980s, especially after the removal of restriction during the LPG period. During the 1990s, when we introduced the liberalization, globalization and privatization policy. And definitely you will write about the Periodic Labor Force Survey, and you will mention all of the study and all of the points which we have discussed today to say that yes, definitely you can see that inequality has decreased in the top class but not in the lower strata of population. So you can conclude very holistically that if you'll see the trend, there is actually an increase in the income inequality between the top strata and lower strata in India, and it has only increased since the 1980s. So you can conclude very holistically. I would also like to take this opportunity to remind you that this is the last day. 25th January is the last day for availing 40% discount on live GS online foundation course, and you can make the payment in 4 easy EMI options. The first 2 EMI options are of 20,000 each, and the third and the fourth EMI option is of 15,000 each. If you want to know more about the discount or to avail the discount, kindly click on the link in the description box below. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have any positive feedback about this session, kindly let me know in the comment box below. If you liked today's discussion and found it to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.